Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever in the world you are, we are glad that you are with us. We wish to welcome you to the daily Bible study for the Silang Church of Christ. If you have been to our building, you know where we are. If, on the other hand, you are joining us from someplace else in the world or someplace else in the Philippines, we are located in the city of Silang, Cavite, Philippines, on Alganaldo Highway at kilometer 42. That makes us approximately 30 miles or 50 kilometers south of downtown Manila. We are glad that you are with us, and we hope that our study of God's Word is of benefit to you today. By the way, this is going to be on YouTube, so if you like the information that we share, please like, share, and subscribe. Today, we're going to start a lesson on the perspective of the divine and eternal I am. This is as we continue our topic that is related to the Rock of Ages. Any serious study of a subject as large and as profound as the Creator, the very first technical challenge that we run into is not one of accumulating data, rather that of perspective. Dictionary frameworks define perspective as a specific way of viewing objects or concepts, entirely dependent on one's distance, angle, or background experience. Sociologists commonly refer to these as panes, P-A-N-E-S, much like a glass pane is how you view the world. Now, this is a spatial truth as much as a mental one. If a traveler stands directly at the bottom of a massive mountain, then their field of vision is truly overwhelmed. They do not see a mountain. They only see an immediate, localized wall of stone and gray rock. The true scale, the sharp contours of the summit, the balance of the peak, these remain hidden from their sight. Conversely, when the person steps back to a proper calculated distance, the individual obstructions go away and they shrink into their regular place. And the true majesty of the peak becomes clearly into view. This precise geometric reality applies directly to our lifelong search for God. Many people across different cultures have approached the immense concept of deity from what we can call a cultural distance. They subconsciously view the Almighty through the immediate and highly subjective lens of their own national borders, their own local family traditions, or maybe even their temporary personal emotions. This localized vantage point inevitably creates a deeply distorted and small image of the divine. It reduces the creator of the cosmos to a mere extension of regional or cultural preferences. To discover the true God, we must intentionally adjust our starting point. We have to move away from the subjective cultural baselines and establish a scriptural distance. By using the historical pages of the Bible as our primary lens, we discard human distortions. The written word functions as an objective corrective mechanism, bringing the character of the Father into a sharper, less distorted focus. Exodus chapter 3 and verse 14. Exodus chapter 3 and verse 14. Rochelle? Good morning, Fred.
Good morning.
Exodus chapter 3 verse 14 reads, God said to Moses, I am who I am. And he said, "Say this to the people of Israel, I am has sent me to you."
Okay. You see, the specific name that God revealed to Moses at the burning bush stands as a technically significant definition in the entirety of scriptures. When the Lord declares himself to be, I am who I am, he is not merely providing a memorable title for Israel to use during their exodus. He is laying down a profound claim about the absolute nature of his being. This baseline declaration signifies that God is entirely self-existent. Now, theologians historically refer to this by a word that is known as aseity, A-S-E-I-T-Y, aseity. Consider the difference between the creation and the creator. Human beings are fundamentally dependent creatures. We require a constant supply of atmospheric oxygen. We require a constant supply of physical nourishment. We require clean water and a safe environment just to sustain our rather fragile existence for a few decades. More fundamentally, we require a prior cause to bring us into being. None of us chose to exist or engineered our own life. The Father, however, operates on a completely different plane. He does not depend on anything outside of himself. He needs no external energy source. He needs no validation from his creation, and he requires no prior cause. He possesses the absolute power of life completely within himself, acting as the uncaused cause of everything. It's extremely important to note that the name I am is construed strictly in a present tense. This linguistic detail carries massive theological weight. Why? Because it implies that God did not become, adapt, or evolve over time. He exists in the eternal presence. He is completely free from the linear constraints of time that govern our daily lives. Humans look backward at history with regret or forward to the future with either contemplation or anxiety. But God views all eras at the same time. He is not merely the I was of ancient history or the I will be of future prophetic hope. Instead, God is the constant, unchanging reality of the right now. Because God is the absolute I am, he remains completely immune to the whims, trends, and pressures of human culture. Throughout history, societies have displayed an insatiable desire to manufacture a God in their own image, a convenient deity who neatly agrees with their specific political platforms, social agendas, or national bias. We want a God who dislikes the same people we dislike and validates our current lifestyle choices. However, the true I am remains unaffected by the shifting opinions of mere mortal men. He does not change his laws to match the voting patterns of a new century. He is the true Rock of Ages, an immovable foundation that is never eroded by the passing of generations or the fickle inclinations of human societies. As we continue to adjust our perspective and move closer to this scriptural baseline, we inevitably encounter a challenging divine attribute. That is, God's incomprehensibility. To modern mind, this term can be easily misunderstood. It does not mean that God is completely unknowable or that he is a distant mystery wrapped in darkness. Rather, it means that while he can be truly and personally known through his self-revelation, he can never be fully understood, fully exhausted, or contained by the limited capacity of the human mind. A teacup cannot hold the volume of the ocean, and the human brain cannot map the mind of an infinite being. Now, human wisdom and intellectual logic are spectacular tools. They are uniquely designed by God for managing the material world, building advanced civilizations, and exploring the laws of physics. However, these tools find their absolute limit when they try to operate independently, when they try to define the realm of the spirit. Left to ourselves, our logic falters. The brilliant philosophers of ancient Athens attempted to map out the divine nature by using pure logic, human philosophy, and empirical feedback from nature. Yet, despite their immense intellect, they ultimately ended up constructing an altar to an unknown God. Their system failed because human logic can only point to the existence of a higher power. It cannot discover the intimate heart, the name, or the specific decrees of that power without direct verbal message from the Creator himself. Isaiah 55, verse 8. Isaiah 55 and verse 8, Eileen.
Isaiah chapter 55, verse 8 reads, For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord.
And verse 9, please, Cora.
And verse 9, it says, As the heaven are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts.
Okay, now what we look at when we see Isaiah 55, 8 and 9 is the Father explicitly outlines the cognitive gap that separates the creature from the Creator. He declares that his thoughts and his methods are as high above human versions as the physical heavens are above the dirt of the earth. This structural gap between human reason and divine reality is exactly what makes the Bible an absolute necessity for mankind. Without scriptures acting as our dictionary and baseline authority, we are left to wander through history, making blind guesses about the nature of the one who designed us. The Bible bridges this gap, translating the higher ways of the infinite God into written words that even finite humans can read, understand, and apply. Acts chapter 17 and verse 28. Acts chapter 17 and verse 28. CJ.
Acts chapter 17, verse 28 reads, For in him we live and move and have our being, as even some of our own poets have said, for we are indeed his offspring.
We are indeed his offspring. We are clearly identified in the New Testament as the very offspring of God. And from a technical standpoint, this relationship implies a profound structural, spiritual, and moral connection that carries an ongoing requirement. The offspring must mirror the character of the parent. This structural reality redefines the purpose of theology. The earnest search for God is never meant to be an academic pursuit of cold facts, historical dates, or linguistic trivia. It is not an intellectual game where the person with the most data wins. Instead, it is a direct mandate for personal transformation. Because if we are to truly know God, the God of the Bible, in an authentic sense, we must actively portray his character in our daily activities. This mirroring is seen in the fundamental attribute, 1 John chapter 4 and verse 8. Abby, 1 John chapter 4 and verse 8.
First John chapter 4 verse 8 says, whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love.
Whoever does not love does not know God, because the text explicitly tells us that God is love. This establishes a technical boundary for human understanding. Those who refuse to love their fellow man remain functionally and technically incapable of knowing the Father. It does not matter how many degrees they earn, or how many ancient languages they can understand, or how many thousands of Bible verses they can memorize. If the structural attribute of self-sacrificing love is missing from their daily behavior, then their knowledge is merely academic noise. The true knowledge of the I am requires an internal alignment of the heart that expresses itself in active, outward care for others. To truly understand how the Creator communicates his identity to humanity, we must take a look at Psalm 19. This text serves as a brilliant intellectual bridge between the gap between the physical world that we can observe with our eyes and the spiritual world that we are commanded to obey with our lives. The structure of the psalm divides divine revelation into two distinct, beautifully engineered mechanical parts, those being the nonverbal witness of the cosmos and the verbal law of scriptures. Psalm 19, verse 1. Psalm 19, verse 1. Furley?
Psalm 19, verse 1. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the sky above proclaims his handiwork.
And verse 2, please, Terrence.
Verse 2 reads, Day to day pours out speech, and night to night reveals knowledge.
Okay, and verse 3, please, Vanessa.
Verse 3, there is no speech, no, not are there words whose voice is not heard.
And verse 4, please, I.e. I.e.
Yes, sir. Hold on, sir.
Okay.
19.
Psalm 19:4 says, and even if it be true that I have erred, my error remains myself with myself.
That doesn't seem correct.
Makes feels a little better about myself.
19, sir, right? Psalm 19.
Psalm 19, verse 4.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm like, that managed to help a little bit, but I don't. Yeah, that's the old, yeah, it takes the edge off. Yeah, not gonna disappear, yeah. Yeah, so I know something's still not right, I know that. I don't really have the pain for, I ran out.
Yeah.
Fred, you got it?
So
Go ahead.
Psalm 19, verse 4 says, "Their voice goes out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them he has set a tent for the sun."
There you go. Much better. You see, this opening section of Psalm 19 is a continuous speech that functions entirely without vowels, without consonants, and even without spoken words. In technical theological terms, this system is known as general revelation or natural law. The psalmist explains that the heavens declare, and the vast sky above proclaims that this is far more than a poetic sentiment. It describes an automatic, constant function of the universe's baseline design. The staggering scale of the cosmos, from the orbital position of the planets to the immense energy of the sun. This provides an empirical launching pad. It leaves clear data trail that forces any rational, honest observer to conclude that an intelligent designer must exist beyond the mechanics of nature. Now, understanding that there are general revelation, the cosmos, and special revelation, the page. General revelation operates non-verbally, visually, and constantly, whereas special revelation is verbal, written, and historical. General revelation is universal, everybody, everywhere. But special revelation is specific to those who read or hear. Primary goal of general revelation proves the existence, the power, and the design of God. Special revelation converts the soul and grants true wisdom. General revelation leaves humanity without an excuse, but special revelation invites humanity into restoration. Psalm 8, 3 and 4. Fred, you want that one? You're muted, brother.
Okay, thank you. Sure. So Psalms 8, verse 3 and 4. When I look at the heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have set in place, what is man that you are mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you care for him?
Okay. So based on Psalm 8, 3 and 4, what is perspective? What is perspective?
Point of view of a something, sir.
Very good. Say it again, Terrence.
Point of view of a something.
Very good. A specific vantage point from which a subject is evaluated, which frequently determines the accuracy of the resulting definition.
It's likely to happen.
Exodus chapter 3 and verse 14. Clarence?
Exodus chapter 3 and what verse again?
14.
14. Exodus chapter 13 verse 14.
No, chapter 3 verse 14.
Chapter 3 verse 14. Okay. God said to Moses, I am who I am, and he said, say this to the people of Israel, I am has sent me to you.
Okay. Now, we can do the 5-cent word or the 15-cent word. The 5-cent word is self-existent. The 15-cent word is Aseity, Aseity. So what do those mean? What does self-existent mean?
It means that God has existed for eternity.
Very good. The state of having the power of life and existence within oneself, independent of external source or a creator. Very good, Fred. Matthew chapter 10 and verse 30. Matthew chapter 10 and verse 30. Rochelle?
Matthew chapter 10, verse 30 reads, but even the hairs of your head are all numbered.
Okay. So what does it mean to be omniscient? What does it mean to be omniscient?
All-knowing.
Very good. All-knowing. The attribute of possessing an all-encompassing knowledge, including the smallest details of the physical and spiritual realms. Psalm 90 and verse 2, Eileen.
Mm-mm. 90.
Chapter 19 verse 2 reads, before the mountains were brought forth, or ever you had performed, I formed the earth and the world. From everlasting to everlasting, you are God.
Okay, so what does the word eternal mean? What does the word eternal mean?
No beginning, no
Forever.
ending.
No beginning, no ending, so says Rochelle. Somebody else spoke up too. Who was it? I?
Ever, sir.
Okay. No beginning, no end, lasting forever. And with
What
that, go ahead.
what was we were reading Psalms what? What verse were
Psalm
we?
90, verse 2.
Oh, 90, verse 2. 90, verse 2. Okay. And the other question, the Exodus verse, what was that verse? Exodus.
That would have been Exodus chapter 3 and verse 14.
Thank you.
And with that,